Okay, in this very short video, we are talking about a few tools which you can use in Python in order to enhance the quality and the readability of our code. I will use 3 different tools which we have not used so far: pylint, mypy, and black. And basically, if you didn't do that and didn't install in Conda yet, you can install these 3 tools with the usual Conda install command from the command line. So let's have a quick look on pylint and mypy. Pylint, basically, it's a very nice and handy tool which checks, basically analyzes the language analysis for your code, and it looks up whether you are breaching certain conventions which most of the Python projects are following, and also looking for inconsistencies, or if your project has an error, that means that it won't run with Python at all because it has some syntactic error, for example, it will report it. It also produces a sort of score for the code quality, which is a number between basically there is no lower limit, but the highest number is 10. If pylint could not find anything, it finds dubious, and then basically you get a point of 10, and whenever pylint finds something, this score is reduced. And basically it's not just the score which is interesting, but all the error messages with pylint print out is something you should definitely study and make sure that pylint is not complaining about any of the lines. Another tool which I'm using also a lot is the mypy tool, which is again a so-called linter, so a language analyzer. It is very good to check and find type inconsistencies, especially if you are using type hinting. It will check whether the type hinting you have written and the type you are passing to a functions, if they are matching, and mypy is incredibly good at that. And you can invoke it exactly the same way as pylint. You are just typing mytype on the command line and you are passing the name of the file it should basically analyze. And again, my mymat.py file was very nicely written, and therefore there are no issues here. But of course, if mypy would find any issues, you would have just error messages on the screen, and also with the line number reported, and also suggestions how to change it. You can basically integrate this language analyzer, so-called linters, among others, into Visual Studio Code. And Visual Studio Code uses Pywrite by default, so there's already a built-in linter language analyzer, which is Pywrite, but there is very easy to add additional ones. You can use the extension marketplace, which you can open, for example, by clicking or pressing Ctrl+Shift+X, and then is in extension marketplace. You can just enter the name of the linters like pylint or mypy and select and install them. Basically, you should maybe not install too many, because all of them will be run on all of your source code, which is okay, but maybe can be also an overkill. So when they are run, how do you know what they reported? You can just press Ctrl+Shift+M, which would open the so-called problems window. And this problems window contains all the error messages which Visual Studio Code obtained from the linters. So you see here I have, for example, in test-solvers.py, it was analyzed by mypy, and mypy found an error. Actually, it's a syntactic error. There's a variable which I forgot to define, but also pylint has found the same error. Okay, it's fine. And pylint even has found also an additional error. For example, it says that it has found a statement which has no effect, a so-called pointless statement, and also complain about that. So therefore the error messages are very useful, and you can basically click on those lines with the mouse if you wish, and then Visual Studio Code will jump immediately to the place where this error occurred, and you can just fix it. If you want to exclude one of the linters, so you have installed it but you don't want to run it on all of your Python project, then you can just disable the extension. You don't have to uninstall it, it's enough to disable, and then that linter will not be run. Okay, and the last thing I would like to show you is about code formatting. So how you format your code, how many white spaces and empty lines and so on put where. and there's the famous so-called PEP8 coding standard. PEP8 stands for Python Enhancement Proposal 8. So the number 8, and you can just click on the link to read that, and it basically tells you how to format your Python code, how to choose white spaces, variable names, class names, and so on, how to document it. And actually most Python projects stick to the standard, so basically my advice would be not to deviate from it unless you have a very good reason, because most of the projects follow that guideline, and it will be for people much easier to read your code if you follow also that guideline. Maybe the only debatable thing in this PEP8 is, which many people do not follow exactly, is the default line length, which is 80 in PEP. If you're using a wider screen, some people usually find longer lines. Me as well, longer lines more comfortable and better to work with. If you don't want to, you can of course always check whether you are PEP8 compatible. But the good thing is there's even a formatter tool you can use, a so-called black formatter, and this the tool named black can basically format your source code, take it, just read it and rewrite it in a way that it becomes PEP8 compatible. It also makes some stylistic choices, but those stylistic choices are actually usually most of the cases quite nice. So you can just automatically format your source code or reformat your source code using black. The way you can introduce invoke black is super easy. You are just typing black on the command line. Then you should, with the -L option, pass basically the line length you are interested in. Here I'm passing just a line length 100. The default, interestingly, is not 80 as in the PEP8 standard, but 88. So just pass in the line lengths you are favoring it for your project. 80 if you want to be exactly PEP compatible, another number if you want to use a different line length. And then you are passing, of course, the name of the source file, Python source file on which it should be attached, applied. And then basically what it does, it is just reformats the files and writes it again. So you would have to reload it. If your editor doesn't reload it automatically, you would have to reload it, and basically then the file is reformatted. And it's important maybe to do this reformatting before you are adding the file to the stage, so before you are doing git add, because that way you are making sure that what you check in the repository has already the right formatting and follows basically the very common Python standard. And with that, you have enough tools basically to deliver a very nice and readable Python code, and make sure that you are using these tools in your workflow.